Good morning to everyone. Very big welcome to with us this morning. And Peter's going to help us to look at our thoughts and also to go deeper into meditation. So a wonderful morning for us all. Thanks, Peter.
Okay. Okay, so assuming everyone can hear me, and good morning and welcome. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction, an extra introduction to the talk, because I recorded this earlier, and I do give an explanation in the actual talk that I give as to why I did it in that way. And so, but just to explain my presence here, and then suddenly my silence and the talk going on in the background or in the foreground. The aim was to try and get the thought that came to my mind and the series of thoughts that came to my mind, have it recorded as well as I can do it in the moment. And because sometimes it's happened to me that, and it's not uncommon to have a powerful thought about something, and then find that because other things come, that thought is lost or diminished in a way because of activities that you have to do. And so it presents us with this challenge of having thoughts and thinking positively about things, but also being able to kind of make them work in such a way that there's transformation for you as well. And so for me, it was, I give the example of sometimes when I'd do retreats or talks and so on, that giving the talk, the ideas are there, the framework is there, and then somehow the link between all those thoughts is lost in the time that it takes for you to come. Maybe other people have to do their speaking and so on and so forth. I'm not really, I don't regard myself as a public speaker so much. I'm more interested in trying to maintain my own meditative state in different situations. And so it was with this aim that I just did the audio. I had no setup for doing video at the time. So I did a recording, and that's what you're going to listen to now, hopefully. And so afterwards, if there are questions, then of course I'm happy to take those. And I think that what we can also do with questions regarding anything that you hear, whether from me or from anyone else, is to make a note of those, and we can do a session just on answering your questions. Because sometimes you also, in the listening of it, you may not hear exactly what you want to hear, or you may not get the responses that you want. There may not be time also. So if we can do that, if you make a note of your questions and think, well, yeah, we can answer them in the process of offering you these talks. So I believe that the talk will begin soon. Just wait for confirmation for that. Hi, everyone. Well, I'm sorry that I'm not here in person, as it were, to present this little talk in front of you. But I just wanted to get my thoughts down, so to speak, while they were fresh in my mind. So I guess it's about a topic that's sort of related to this aspect where I would normally want to or have to set it up in front of a camera and get everything ready, lights and all that kind of thing. have all the sound and everything just right so I could do the presentation. And but what happens, and this is why I want to talk about this particular topic, and that is that many times good thoughts will come, and maybe a whole string of them even, a whole range of really good ideas and good thoughts and well sort of, ideas that hold together and are kind of meaningful and explain a lot. Then I find that, maybe time passes, and if those things haven't been recorded, then they'll often just sort of vanish into the atmosphere because you get busy with doing other things, you get distracted, even jobs, even the things that you actually have to do. You do those things, and then the original thread of the idea is forgotten and left behind and a little bit harder to recall. So I thought, while these thoughts are fresh in my mind, I'll get them down and be able to express them coherently, hopefully. This has happened on a number of occasions, especially when, for example, we hold retreats, which many of you may have attended, that ideas are created. And then if there's a gap between creating an idea and putting it into practice, the ideas can lose a bit of power. But of course, everything runs to a timetable, so you can't simply, necessarily hold on to that idea for a long period of time. And the other thing is that it's kind of like it's an organic thing as well, that it's fresh. It's like sort of making a cup of coffee and then drinking it after 2 hours. Well, it's not going to have the same appeal, is it? So it's an interesting thing that I've noticed, and I kind of have wondered sometimes, why is it that a good idea comes and it sort of even fills your imagination? You have so many different ideas about it. You'll do this, you'll do that, you'll do the other, and present these points. And then you arrive at the time and you find that you're struggling actually to remember the original points. And so I'm thinking that this is a kind of subject of karma in a way, where the question becomes, why is it that I can't do the things that I want to do? Why am I not able to put into practice the thoughts and the maybe even good desires that I have? Why can't I accomplish them? What is it that's preventing me from doing that? Well, karma is the number one sort of character involved in this little play. And so we need to kind of dissect things a little bit and examine them in a little bit more detail. Why is it that I'm not able to do something good? So when I say karma, it just means that some actions have been done at some time in the past that prevent me from immediately carrying out something that's worthwhile. So it's a bit different from thinking, well, later in the day I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to make a meal, or I'm going to do something that I enjoy. Yeah, those things are not that hard to accomplish in life. But where you want to really do something useful, whenever anything useful or important or significant has to be done, there will be obstacles in accomplishing that. Otherwise, everyone would just all the time be doing good things, wouldn't they? The world would be a much better place. How many good ideas have we had about what can be done with the world, how people can be different, how companies and organizations can be different, how they can do good things? We can come up with 1,000 ideas, and we have actually. There's been so many conferences and so many gatherings where people have discussed what can be done and how the world can be made a better place. And yet it's left undone. That work is not done, because in order to achieve something good, it requires effort. And this is the thing about our practice in life. And when we talk about transformation and change, we have to make effort in this life. Yes, it's easy enough to just sit peacefully when circumstances are good, to become, quiet and calm, play a bit of music, and so on and so forth. But circumstances surround us and also do have an influence on us. And then it's a question of, well, how much do you really want that peace? Do you only want it as long as the circumstances are good? Is that the situation that you require in order to be peaceful? So, but really, in order to bring change, you have to shift something that's existing there that may be a blockage. And for that, meditation is really important. You need to be able to sit and aim at that fairly squarely and see that your motivation is good, first of all. I find that's a really important thing. Why do I want to do something? Is it for a superficial personal reason that I want maybe recognition? Or if I really want to bring benefit to myself and others, that has to be the foundation and the motivating factor for me. So I need to use my thought energy, what we call yoga power, which is really determination, having a determined thought, a powerful thought, a directed thought over a period of time. It's a bit like even a stream of water away a rock. If it goes in the same place again and again and again, it's very powerful. In fact, you can cut things. I seem to remember watching some kind of a video or some presentation on how water coming out at speed was able to cut metal. So this is where we use the power of our thoughts, and again to sit with that concentration and to wear through whatever it is that the obstacle is for us. And when you sit to meditate in this way, things will emerge in your psyche, in your consciousness. Things will come up. And it's at that point you need to make judgments, and you need to be aware. You need to have the realization of what it is that you have to deal with, and to accept and understand what the obstacles are and work towards overcoming them or powering through them in some instances. And so when an obstacle comes, we don't have to fold up straight away. This is the whole point of this kind of tapasya, as we call it, or a meditation practice which is focused over a period of time, meaning that your thoughts don't become weakened when you see or think that there's an obstacle. You don't immediately give up and think, well, maybe it's not for me to do, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. But rather to understand properly your own self. What are your motivations? What are the things that you have to overcome in order to achieve something? And why something isn't handed to you on a platter. And you might see that other people, well, they can do something easily, and you admire them, or you're jealous of them because they can do something that you can't. But then it's up to you to work away. And the circumstances may not be all that encouraging in some respects. We often bring up the example of Disraeli, who became the Prime Minister of England, and how he studied under a street lamp because he was poor, because he didn't have the conditions and circumstances that would help him to become that. So he would study outside under a streetlight and read like that. Well, how many of us are prepared to put in that kind of effort to accomplish anything? And yet look at the result for him. And then what's the result for you? And do you see that? Maybe the vision isn't there of what I can become or what this change will do for me. So in a lot of cases, I think people want proof. Show me the proof of it first, and then I'll make effort for it. But this comes from within, the vision. If the vision isn't there for something, of course you won't make effort for it. But if you feel it's important and it's valuable, then you need to muster all your energies and all your power in order to go through the obstacle, go over the obstacle or around it, however you like to think about it. But you need that power of concentration. You need to formulate your thoughts. You need to make them intense. So, but it's not that it's all the time intense. We need to refresh our vision from time to time and just remember what it is that we're doing this for. What effort am I making? Who will benefit from this? If it's only me, then it's a limited cause, really. But to do something that will benefit others will automatically benefit yourself. And so this comes back to the original subject matter of karma and how karma can stop us from achieving something in the present. Because maybe in the past we've done things that weren't with this high aim or high motivation, and we just did it for the self to get limited praise or limited recognition. And so you have to see whether the thing that you want to do now, whether you really believe in it. So, and how deep is that belief? How deep is that wanting, that awareness and that desire to do something that will benefit other people? Or do I drop everything at the first sign of an obstacle? So it's easy to have a thought, a good thought. We can all do it. You know, the positive thinking courses that people do is to think positively about something. But thinking positively is not enough. We also need to think powerfully. And to that end, we could probably reduce some of our big aims and big ideas and just focus on the first most powerful thing, and that is to become soul conscious, to practice that awareness of being the soul and not the body. That's a big effort to make. But if we make that effort, then a lot of other things will work for us, because that is a kind of a purification process that we go through. Because in order to achieve the experience of what the original self is, we naturally have to put aside all the false ideas about ourself. They have to be put aside. And where do they come from? They're from us as well. We're the creator of those ideas. All the false vision, the false views about who we are and what we are, they've also come from myself. And so this is a wonderful thing that you recognize when you start meditating, is that you're the creator, you're the master creator of all the things that you are and that you are not. And all the beliefs and all the ideas, they're also your creation. So that's a very empowering notion. It's a very empowering idea to realize that all the things that I think about myself, I've created those thoughts. They've happened and so on and so forth. However, I'm the one who's either hung on to an idea, and I'm the one who is to let go of that idea as well. And so when you sit in meditation, to sometimes sit in a powerful way to achieve something with your thoughts. Not just be peaceful, but to be powerful. And there's actually peace merged in that power. But maybe the other experiences that we sometimes associate with meditation or yoga are not there at that very moment. I may not be aiming for happiness or bliss or harmony, but it's a very specific aim to sit with a powerful thought and allow that powerful thought to do its work. So this power, the question may arise about power and then force, and what's the difference or what's the connection between the two? Are they the same? To have a powerful thought, is that being forceful? No. The power in this respect relates to truth. And that truth may be hidden and needs to be emerged. And we may need to dig deep. So for that, you need that concentration power. You need to know what you're looking for. I'm just, a few things sort of emerge in my mind sometimes talking about different topics. And I just remember seeing a YouTube clip about a fox who was trying to get some food. It was winter time and everything was frozen and cold. And he was walking along the ice and he would listen for the sound of some animal that was underneath the snow, maybe a foot or two beneath the ground. And he listened and he was so focused, so concentrated. And then he would jump up in the air and use his feet to push through the snow and to burrow down and to get to what he was chasing. Actually, polar bears do this as well. So it's an application of our thoughts to some very specific aim to accomplish something that's important, that's useful, that's valuable for us, that's valuable for others. It's using our power of thought and applying it in a good way. And if you do this again and again, over and over again, in different ways, then you will certainly see some major transformation going on. Because a lot of the obstacles are really coming to us in the form of weak thoughts. And then the language comes afterwards, oh, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. It's beyond me. I'm not that good. So we disempower ourselves with these type of thoughts. So have repetition. Have this as a practice, something that you want to do that's good, some change that you want to bring about in yourself that's significant or important for you. Give time to it. Practice it on a daily basis again and again, or even during the day, stop several times and have that aim to create these good thoughts. There's only benefit in it, of course. So in this way, we're kind of mitigating our past karmas, which were resulting in weak thoughts, in negative thoughts, in thoughts of hopelessness, and also made us careless as well. So we might have started out with something and then got distracted easily. That's also a karmic thing. But all these can be overcome. All your karmic things can be worked on and transformed with your own power of thought. And don't forget that the energy that we're using here is not just our own, it comes from God as well. So we're utilizing that energy, that power that we get from meditation, and we're directing it very specifically towards overcoming some weakness. And nothing will give you more satisfaction than this. So I hope these thoughts may have been useful to you, and look forward to hearing your success stories and application of these things. And any questions that you may have, I'd be happy to talk about. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so that also gives me an opportunity whilst listening to just reflect on some things and to keep the flow of thoughts going all the time. And I think this is the secret behind all these things, is to reclaim the conversation or the dialogue that goes on in your head, and to not allow thoughts of weakness, those weak messages to come through and to take over your aims and your ideas for yourself and for your meditation practice, to experience something in a really significant way to bring about transformation. So that's why I mentioned there. Meditation is not only, I'm speaking for myself, it's not always an experience for me where I just want to be peaceful, or I just want to be happy, or feel light, or feel easy. There are times in life where you really want something to change, and you realize that here the soul can be its own best friend or its own worst enemy, depending on how it deals with its own thoughts. And so for me, the idea is to look at those things which you feel are weaknesses in yourself, and to actually actively work at removing them. Much the same as a gardener would, looking at a garden and seeing that there are weeds or things that don't belong there, and actually going about the process of removing them. So it's what I mentioned. There's a lot of satisfaction in this experience, because you're really going to the root cause of your unhappiness or your lack of peace, because this is sort of an undercurrent that is there for us. And so when I sit to experience peace in meditation, I look to see what it is that's assisting me and what it is that might be stopping me. So I recognize my own kind of weaknesses in that area and try and keep my focus on having powerful thoughts over a long period of time. And that's the secret to all this, is not to give up easily or quickly, but to work towards change and to feel the enjoyment of the transformation process that's going on in front of you. So I think what we might do, just for a few minutes, we don't need any extra sort of assistance, but just to sit quietly now, and in your mind's eye, just visualize yourself in a state where you don't have any weaknesses. No. So it's this vision that's important, the inner vision of yourself as a pure being. And of course, you have to feel that you have rights over this experience, that it is your experience of your original self. Therefore, you have every right to allow yourself to experience that. And this is really the first and the most important principle to keep in mind. So we don't allow ourselves now, for these few minutes, to entertain any weak thoughts at all. Try to create a clear picture of yourself as a spiritual being, as energy, as light, and just sit with that thought. Just feel the energy that comes from having good thoughts about yourself. We don't need to think a lot, but the thoughts need to become powerful. So just consider yourself, as well as being light, be a powerful light. Be a light whose energy travels for a very long distance. You're not a dim light, you're a powerful light. And so you can add power through your thoughts. Allow yourself to immerse just in that one thought of being light. Feel that energy coming from within and traveling out in all directions. So every thought that you have is filled with power. It's pure energy. And as such, will make you feel peaceful. Go right back to the core, the origin of all your thoughts. There's a point of light energy, self-aware. And just enjoy the stillness. So practice this every now and then. During the day, just stop for a while in between your activities. And just allow yourself to be still. Enjoy the quiet, enjoy the silence. And that you're in charge. Om Shanti. So if there are any questions, then we welcome those. Do you need to say something?
Thank you, Peter. This
Hold the mic up.
gives us a lot to think about and a lot to pause about as well. And that can really just change our life, just doing that. Having those pauses where we can look at our thoughts and change what we want and practice what we want. So thanks a lot, Peter. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
And thank you all for listening. Bye.
And